Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back up in the woods among the evergreens, there stood a log cabin made of earth and wood, where lived a country boy named Johnny B. Good, who never ever learned to read or write so well, but he could play a guitar just like a ringing a bell. Go, go! Go, Johnny, go, go! Go, Johnny, go, go! Go, Johnny, go, go! Go, Johnny, go, go! Johnny be good. He used to carry his guitar in a gunny sack, go sit beneath the tree by the railroad track. Old engineer with him sitting in the shade, strumming with the rhythm that the drivers made.
We've got a long way to go. Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Did they send me daughters when I asked for sons? You're the saddest bunch I ever met, but you can bet before we're through, Mister, I'll make a man out of you. Tranquil as a forest, but on fire within. Once you find your center, you are sure to win. You're a spineless, pale, pathetic lot, and you haven't got a clue. Somehow I'll make a man out of you. I'm never gonna catch my breath. Say goodbye to those who knew me.
Boy, was I a fool in school for cutting Jim.
This guy's got him scared to death.
Hope he doesn't see right through me.
Now I really wish that I knew how to swim. You must be swift as the coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Time is racing toward us till the Huns arrive. Heed my every order, and you might survive. You're unsuited for the rage of war, so pack up, go home, you're through. How could I make a man out of you? You must be swift as the coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon. You must be swift as the coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
Riding along in my automobile, my baby beside me at the wheel. I stole a kiss at the turn of a mile, my curiosity running wild, cruising and playing the radio, with no particular place to go.
Hey, Jill.
Hey, Aisha!
Who's this sexy man? And why does he have all these birds around his head?
Okay, I will explain to you whatever you want to know. This is Charles Robert Darwin. He was born in England in 1809. He is considered one of the most influential people in regards to human knowledge. You may know him from the theories of evolution. This is why all the birds are there.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Darwin's theory of motivation was important for two reasons. It separated the man-animal dualism that occupied early motivation theories. It also made scientists look at mechanistic and genetic motivation concepts as opposed to mentalistic motivations.
Okay, he seems like a smart person. So, what does Darwin have to do with instinct theories?
Okay, Darwin, he had a concrete idea of instincts. Instincts, in his opinion, arose from physical substance, from the genetic endowment. Instincts were physically real. If the appropriate stimulus exists, instincts appeared in the form of bodily reflex. Basically, every action could be boiled down to a biological impulse to do so.
Well, thank you, Jill, for explaining that.
You're welcome, sweetie.
Okay, I'm gonna go now.
Say bye to Darwin.
Bye, Darwin.
Bye.
Bye.
Ready?
Who the hell is this man? Jill? Who's James?
This is James William James. He was born in 1842 in NYC. He was the first psychologist that popularized an instinct theory of motivation. His theory carried many traces of Darwin's and his colleagues' ideas, tying a vast amount of physical and mental instincts to humans. According to James, all that was needed to change an instinct into a goal-directed behavior was the presence of a stimulus. For example, a cat chases a mouse because it has an instinct to do so. When the cat sees the mouse, the natural instinct sets off an impulse to act and the reflexes needed to produce the physical action. Do you understand this?
No, I don't understand anything.
Okay, well, then let me give you an example. This girl must be thirsty. I want to drink something instinct.
Go!
These girls are very lonely. Now they feel the we want to sit together instinct. Go! Laura doesn't want to stand anymore. She feels the I really want to sit instinct. Go! Laura is playing with her child. Now she feels the nurturing instinct. Go!
Hello again, Jill. I really think I recognize this guy from his nose, but I simply can't place him. Who is this McDougal guy again?
The McDougal guy is called William McDougal. He was born in 1871 in England and was an early 20th century psychologist.
Okay, so what was his idea on motivation?
Well, he was the generation right after William James, who we had just talked about. McDougal came up with an instinct theory that regarded instinct as an irrational and impulsive motivational force which orients people towards a certain goal. Some of these instincts were the instincts to, for example, fight or to have babies, to explore, and so forth.
Okay, so what exactly is the difference then from William James?
Well, they are kind of similar, but there is a difference. Because the main difference is that according to McDougal, without instincts, human beings would not initiate any action. Basically, without instincts, all human beings would be like, let's say, a sack of potatoes with no impulse to action.
Okay, maybe you could give me an example.
Yes, of course I will provide
Oh,
an
thank
example.
you so much.
You're welcome. Mwah, bye.
Bye.
Laura is using her new phone. When Kata comes and takes it away from her, she feels the emotion of anger. The instinct to fight arises. Laura starts fighting.
Well, that was very interesting, Jill. Thank you for explaining.
You're welcome.
I'm wondering, are there any problems with this theory?
Of course there are problems. Even though those men were great scientists and psychologists, obviously there are some problems which were discovered during the last 100 years. So, I'll tell you what's wrong. Come on. Okay, let's consider the theory of McDougall. There we have the example with Laura and Catalina. Laura was using her new phone, which was taken away by Kata. When Laura realized that, she felt the instinct to fight. Okay, the instinct to fight made her actually engage in the action to fight, which was because she has the instinct to fight. Which makes her, well, yeah, you know, she fought.
Well, that doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, if I look at it now, you're right. I guess that's what you call circular explanation. And indeed, this doesn't make any sense. So, we see a problem here. Furthermore, also James had some problems with his theory. Okay, James was the example of 4 different instincts, right?
Yeah.
So we had, let's say, 2 minutes, not even, and we explained 4 instincts. Give me an hour, and I'll explain you more than 100 instincts. Give me a day, and I'll explain you
That's a lot of instincts, Jill.
Oh yes.
Wow.
So that means it's too many instincts. Experience.
Okay, well thank you so much, Jill.
You're more than
It really helps me. Goodbye.
Have a great day.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Today, Laura's watching her.
High on a hill was a lonely goat herd, lady, lady, hee-hoo. Loud was the voice of the lonely goat herd, lady, lady, folks in a town that was quite remote heard, lady, lady, hee-hoo. Lusty and clear from the goat herd's throat heard, lady, lady, hi-ho, lady, ho, hi-ho, lady, hi-ho, lady, ho, a prince on a bridge of a castle moat heard, lady, hee-hoo. Men on a road with a load to tote heard, lady, one little girl in a pale pink coat heard, lady, hee-hoo. She yodeled back to the lonely goat herd, lady, lady,
Take what you need, but you better need all you take. 'Cause there's fire in the mountain, there's a ghost in the lake. So when the devil comes calling, you better send him away. So, and get your ambitions all square in your head.
He's getting ready, honey. And you know what that means.
Let's cook.
You get out of your bed, 'cause when your heart's full of dancing,
what I do, what I do, da da do, da da do.
Theorist Clark L. Hull was born in 1884 in Akron, New York. He came from a lower-middle socioeconomic class family, which made it difficult to have a steady university education, therefore taking his degree in increments. After receiving his PhD in psychology, he taught at the University of Wisconsin. He is best known for his publications under the behavioral discipline, precisely his theory of learning based on habit strength. We will discuss this theory in detail later. Clark Hull died at the age of 68 in the city of New Haven, Connecticut. So here we see a blood vessel depicted with a lot of sugar in it. And then we see the blood sugar has decreased within the vessel, and finally reaching to when we have no blood sugar. When your blood sugar is so low, you become irritable, and you are energized to think about a chocolate bar. Then you are driven towards eating a piece in order to bring back up your blood sugar. After eating the chocolate, you are now in a normal, satisfied state. As time goes by, again your blood sugar decreases to a very low level, making you irritable again. By habit, from previous satisfaction, you remember about the chocolate bar and go looking for it in order to meet your need. Theorist Edward C. Tolman was born in 1886 in West Newton, Massachusetts. He is best known for his psychological work in the behavioral discipline. Precisely his experimental work with rat mazes, which led him to his founding of the idea of cognitive maps that we will later discuss. Tolman taught at University of California, Berkeley, and his main focus was on the latent learning concept. Coming from an upper-middle socioeconomic family, his career as a psychologist was not supported by his father, who planned for Edward and his brother to be part of the family business. Edward Tolman died in California at the age of 73. Our starting point is at the IE University campus in Segovia on Calle Cardenal Juninga. We want to head towards the cathedral, which is located next to the Plaza Mayor. Our regular route is taking the main street, Paseo de Santo Domingo de Guzman, towards the Acueducto, turning right onto Calle Juan Bravo, heading uphill towards the cathedral. One day, our regular pathway is blocked off by construction, which will not allow us to head towards Calle Juan Bravo. When starting at the university and noticing the road construction, we then activate our mental map, which allows us to orientate within Segovia to locate where we need to go to get to our destination, the cathedral. We find our way through the little roads in the city center, getting to the cathedral with no issue.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. This in the night away. This in the night away. He drinks a whiskey drink, he drinks a vodka drink.
Now, we are talking about cognitive theories. The first person I'm going to introduce you is Fritz Heider. Heider was born in Vienna, in Austria in 1996. At the age of 24, he received a PhD from the University of Graz for his innovative study of the causal structure of perception. He traveled to Berlin, where he worked at the Psychology Institute under Wolfgang Kohler, Max Wertheimer, and Kurt Lewin. He is, as Kurt Lewin, very influenced by the forms theories introduced by Gestalt theory. He transposes the laws of perception of objects in the field of perception of people and their relationships. He worked in the section of attributional theory of achievement. For him, human beings look for causal explanation, so that the interpretation of the fact will have an impact on the behavior, which will change. For example, if a car knocks yours and that you hurt a walking person who finishes to die, you interpret it as if it was not your own fault, but the other's one. Your behavior will be different according to the interpretation you have from the event. Indeed, your behavior will be more positive than if you were entirely responsible of the fact. Bernard Weiner, born in 1953, is a postgraduate student at the University of Bielefeld in Germany, Turku University in Finland, and the University of Manitoba in Canada. Bernard Weiner has researched many topics as emotions, responsibility judgments, and achievement motivation, from what, since 1965, he is currently distinguished as Professor of Psychology. In 1986, he wrote a book called An Attributional Theory of Motivation and Emotion in the New York Springer Verlag. In 1985, he published An Attributional Theory of Achievement, Motivation and Emotion in the Psychological Review. He also was working in the field of attributional theory of achievement. His theory was that the motivation comes from the desire of having a good self-evaluation. In fact, the explanation of a success or a mistake determines the individual's behavior. For example, if a pupil fails a class, the explanation of why did he fail, depending on the final result, will determine the behavior he will adopt. It is my fault if I failed. I didn't work enough, so I will work much more for the next one. In that case, it won't happen all the time. Leon Festinger was born in New York City in 1919. He was an American social psychologist responsible for the development of the theory of cognitive dissonance. He died in 1989. As you know, Leon Festinger worked in the field of cognitive dissonance. According to him, behavior which is not congruent with our beliefs is a powerful motivator. It means that if an event does not happen as you predict, you will react very strongly in order to not make it happen another time, and it's a kind of motivation. For example, if you fail a contest or anything which is really meaningful for you, you will change the wrong thing in order to not make it happen another time. The change will be either cognitive or behavioral.